Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of BOMA Greater Dallas Unplugged, where I try to give you recaps, updates, and reminders. This past week, we had our November luncheon at Eddie Dean's for those that were there in person, and then we also did it virtually. We had Dr. Mark Dotzer speak to us about the economy. And if you haven't heard from Dr. Dotzer, he's pretty amazing. He's a real estate economist. He used to be the chief economist and researcher at Texas A&M University in College Station at their real estate center. And so for this presentation, he makes it so understandable. Like I said at the luncheon, I'm not the brightest star in the sky when it comes to economy, but after listening to his presentation, I was able to repeat back and fully understand what he was telling me. So I hope that you guys enjoy this episode where I'm going to show you our Q&A session. Here you go. I'd like to ask you a couple questions about the interest rates and inflation. Kind of what are your thoughts on that, especially kind of, after your review of the election
Sure.
information that you made?
Let me just talk about interest rates first. I think interest rates are going to stay low for quite a long time. Excuse me. The last time we had a recession, it was about 2009. The Fed dropped interest rates to zero in December of 2009, and they didn't begin to raise them for a full 7 years, December 2016. So the Fed came out about 2 months ago and said, we're going to keep interest rates at zero at least through 2023. And when they said that, I started kind of laughing to myself. It's like, yeah, I heard the at least part, because what they're really saying is, we kept it low for 7 years last time. We'll probably do it again this time. So I wouldn't say 2023. If I had to bet $5 on when they raise rates, I would go with history and say this could stay at zero for 7 years. So short-term borrowing costs are going to be nothing for quite a long time. And they're going to keep mortgage rates low too, because they figured out how to do that. They can print unlimited money and buy every 10-year treasury bond that's ever printed. And if they choose to do that, they could be just like Europe and drive the 10-year treasury completely down to zero, which would allow mortgage rates to be about 1.75%. I think they're saving those bullets for the next recession. I think they've decided that 2.9 is low enough for mortgages for this go around. But that's on the horizon. They'll do that the next time. But interest rates are going to stay low for a while. If you don't mind, I'll mention about the inflation part of it too. Inflation is likely to stay low as well. I'm not betting a penny on runaway inflation, even though the government debt has expanded by $3 trillion this year to 27. It could expand another $3 trillion next year to 30 trillion. And you can't have runaway inflation unless prices go up a lot. And so just because your government goes into debt and gives people money to spend, what do you think is going to happen to the price of TVs? Do you think suddenly China or Japan is going to stop making TVs? You don't think they have capacity to double the amount of TVs they can make? There's just no shortages. And Christine, the one thing I would illustrate is I do see not runaway inflation, but I do see high inflation right now. A good example is the single family housing market. We have a shortage of housing. We can't build enough. And that shortage has been around for 10 years. And so there's what has to happen for inflation. You have to have a sustained shortage over a period of years, not just a one-time deal. And so housing is experiencing not runaway, but significant inflation. But the rest of the stuff we buy, there's no shortage of anything. And no matter how much money we print, the global economy can produce enough of virtually everything.
Very interesting. So my next question was, do you ever see one sector doing better than the other one right now? If it's retail suffering, mixed use suffering?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting from an investment perspective. I personally, and I don't recommend anything. Whatever I say I'm doing, you probably should do the opposite, because I've lost money virtually every way you can think of. I've done well as an investor too, but man, I have made so many mistakes. So whatever I say, take it with your own grain of salt. But for me, I find hotel to be really interesting right now because it's such it's like poison ivy. I mean, buying yeah, you'd almost rather buy a date to walk through poison ivy all day long than to buy a hotel. And I hear rumors that hotel prices can be off as much as 50% or so from where they were. And I, I was getting ready to say, I know, but you know, that means 50% chance. I don't know nothing. Okay. But I feel in my bones this huge pent up demand to travel. The American people can't wait to take their kids to Disneyland again. Businessmen and women can't wait to have a convention in Las Vegas again. And as minute we get the lights on signal, hotels are going to start filling up big time. And it kind of did for a little bit this summer. I heard hotel people saying, you know what, the travelers not out yet, but weekenders are. People are showing up for a 2-day stay at our hotel for a weekend close by to where they live. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. So from an opportunity standpoint, I see a chance here for hotels, especially that are not related to the urban environment. I don't want to own something downtown. I want to own something where people go for a vacation and maybe go to a convention. And I know most of those are in downtowns, but I prefer hotels that are not in urban areas. And also, retail is really a tough one. And I'm not an expert in retail, so I'm just going to go with consensus there and say it's a tough decision. And a lot of those properties are going to get changed. There's going to be a lot of reuse involved. And it's one thing to reuse an old mall, but the problem is the value of a mall that's been converted to a warehouse space is lower than it was as a retail operation. Lots of demand for multifamily and industrial. So I think that somebody's asked me occasionally, when are we ever going to get higher yields on real estate again? And my answer is probably never. Just because there's too much money that nobody wants to buy a bond. See, the Federal Reserve's done this on purpose. They've lowered the value of bonds, the yield on bonds, so it makes you buy stock. That's why stocks are at a record high, because nobody wants to own bonds. And when you get a 40% drop in the stock market sometime, and that happens occasionally, then people don't want to buy stocks, and the only thing that's left is real estate. And it's going to funnel into apartments and into industrial. And office is a little bit of a challenge for me. I think the jury's kind of out on office, just depending on how successful companies feel they are about letting people work from home. I think a lot of people have found out working from home is pretty nice, especially if my kids were going to school, it'd be awesome. So if we get to a point where kids can go back to school, employees, that's going to be a way to hire people and steal quality workers from other businesses by saying, you go to work for us, we need to see you in the office once a week. You can live an hour from our office here because you're only going to come in 1 day a week. So I think the jury's kind of out. I have heard good news from leasing agents about leases getting signed that were put on hold. So it's kind of an unknown to me. It's kind of like a neutral. I'll put a neutral on that office, that the jury's still out on office.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. News that with the recent news that Dallas has become a little more diversified in their employment pool, about seeing more biomedical companies coming to the market as well as tech companies. How do you think that fares for our industry?
I think the long-term outlook for Texas big cities, including the Dallas, Fort Worth metro area, is incredibly bright. People want to move here. We're a very pro-business state, and businesses come here because they can compete in a global economy and win. And they create a lot of jobs, and people want to move here to be a part of that. And so I don't think COVID has had one iota of impact on the positive economic trajectory of the state of Texas.
Very good. So you kind of answered this one But asking more specifically, as far as the length of recovery, I'm hearing about 2 years, at least for hotel and retail. Do you agree with that?
This is my intuition, and I appreciate this. It's a great one to close with. My intuition is that our recovery has already begun, and it's going to be temporarily postponed because the American people and the medical system just cannot stop the virus yet, for a variety of reasons. But my intuition is that by April or May, medical knowledge will be a lot more stronger than it is now. And pent-up demand is going to be even stronger. And that desire to get out of the house and live your life again is just going to be overwhelming. And so unless we just have some kind of cataclysmic virus thing that's surprising to everybody, I feel like we're going to start this recovery the minute that the virus starts to diminish again. And I'm putting that around April or May. My wife, she says June. She's way smarter than me. You might think she's a dummy for marrying me 45 years ago. But so we have an argument in our house, whether it's April or May or June. But I just think don't underestimate the pent-up demand of the American people. We just do not tolerate deferred gratification. We don't do that. We want to buy stuff when we want it, and we want to go see things when we want to go see it. And that is so powerful.
I wrote that down, pin-up demand.
It's there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dotzer, for taking the time to talk with us and me too. And until next time, you're one of our favorite economists, and now I feel like I'm a little bit more of an expert in this. This is always my weakness, but every time you come and talk, it always makes me feel a little bit more smart.
Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I enjoy doing it. And to my colleagues that are in the meeting and listen to this, let me just say thank you, and I wish you the very best. I know we're going to get through this, and I hope you have great holidays and look forward to much brighter days in 2021.
Thank you to Dr. Dotzer for taking the time to speak to us. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I hope that you learned a whole lot more about what's going on in our economy, what to expect, especially now that we have the election behind us and just kind of dealing with the pandemic now. But if you missed his presentation, it is available now on our YouTube channel. So just head there, and I urge you to watch this because it really is a lot of great information. And if you guys have any questions, he did say that you can email him and he'll reply back. I already had a couple questions to ask him. Of course I did. And he replied back so quickly. So don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Go ahead and ask him because he will be able to help you understand what you're asking. So on to our reminders. We do have our toy drive open. I know I've mentioned this every episode, but just in case you guys forgot, it's going on right now. It's closing on December 4th. It is just like a registry. It's not like it was before, but if you go to our website, you can, there is a link to show you what items you can choose from. And then the items will be sent to the different sites where we'll have Boma Greater Dallas volunteers help distribute the items to the different charities just in time for the holiday season. December 2nd, we will have the Women's Breakfast, which will be held at 1 Galleria Towers. And this will be, if you're wondering about what is good for your next step, this is a really good one to go to. We'll have a seasoned panel talk to you about how to break through to the next level. Our panelists will be Mary Learson, Carrie McCampbell, and Ryan Rothaker, and we'll have Jacqueline Bird as your moderator. Also with this event, the Education Committee is partnering with the Community Service Committee to help provide donations to the Genesis Women's Center. And of course, there is a link for that as well. It's the new digital world. But if you can't make the event, but would love to help donate to the Genesis Women's Center, you can go to our website. There is an Amazon wish list, and we'll be sure to get that and distribute it to them. And don't forget, guys, this event is being capped at 50 people in person. So if you're just try to get there, there's about 35 as of today, which is the Thursday night. So there is still room, but it'll go fast. Our engineer session is coming up December 10th. We will have Dr. Michael Gow with Havens Diagnostics talk with the engineers just to give them some more knowledge about COVID-19. We're hoping that this can help them make decisions, fully understand how everything works, and to help through with HVAC issues, things like that. So they will have it at Interstate Restoration's Dallas facility, and it'll start at 3:30. Also on December 10th, we'll have a gala happy hour. This is going to be an event where in order to be entering into the event, you have to donate either a wine bottle, spirit bottle, or a gift card minimum of $25. This will be used for the gala. I hope that you guys do participate in this. If it's going to the happy hour or even just providing a donation, it really helps us out. This is a fundraiser for our foundation where it helps programs like the Building Leaders Program, education sessions, and community service events, as well as the scholarships that we provide to our members who need it and who are trying to get their education, if it's a designation or just they're helping through college. So I hope that you guys are able to attend, but don't forget, I hope you have this down, January 30th is the award ceremony and foundation's gala. It will be at the Statler Hotel in downtown Dallas, and registration will be opening soon, so be sure to keep a lookout in the e-voice for that. And then I do want to mention that our next membership luncheon will be January 19th. And we're going to have the State Attorney General's office come and speak to us about human trafficking. This is a huge, huge subject that fully affects us. So I hope that you guys are able to attend or watch it and because they will be giving us a good overview of what's going on, giving us some, clues, tips to look out for while we're walking about our properties. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Boma Greater Dallas Unplugged. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep up the good work. Happy Thanksgiving.